Alright guys, we are back, and last things we did was clean up our code by putting them into groups, and we did our touch controls. And I want to start by saying I did send you in the wrong direction with the volume. 20 would be really, really high, assuming it will even let it get that much higher over the original volume. We actually would set this to -15. So the volume wouldn't be terribly, terribly high. Or if your music's not super, super loud to begin with, then you could set it to 0 instead of -15. Oh, but because I'm actually going to upload this, I decided I don't want to use anything that has copyrights. So what I've done is I've taken the time to use Bandicam to use or record 30 seconds of a copyright-free audio I found on YouTube. So you can find very, very many or very wide selection of different types of music copyright free on YouTube. You can download it, you can record it, the audio with a Bandicam or whatever device you have. It's one way you can do it. I would say only do it as a startup. There are better ways to do it once you get more practice. So we're going to import sounds and say this one goes into here. And I will just name this music. So on start of layout, we're going to play music looping, volume set to 0 for the original volume, and done. Oh, and let's give it the tag. Always give it a tag when you can. So now that we've got that, we need to make sure the rest of our variables are set. So this. I think we are good to go. Oh, there we go. I actually had to click on the screen. And it all seems to be working. Oh, there we go. And now it's doubling up. And there is one easy fix. So let's say player overlapping. And we actually haven't coded in the saws, but we have coded these. So let's add the action and set the player to destroy. And since there's more than one way to destroy the player, we will need the player when it is destroyed. We are going to set the audio to stop. It's important that you choose stop and not pause, because if you choose pause, when it loads back into the layout, it could continue that one and play a new song from the beginning, causing the same issue. I haven't tested that, so I'm not 100% sure how it would go, but this is the safest way to stop all that from happening. Yep, I gotta click on it to get it going. And there we go. We didn't double up. And so let's code in the saws now. We're going to say pair is overlapping the saw. We are going to oh, there it is. Destroy the player. And system. Go to layout. We died. So simple enough. We don't need to test that to see if it works. Let's just take a look at our game level and see if there's anything we need to do. So the other thing is this door. We haven't fixed our door with the code. And yes, we did set this initially invisible. We should go ahead and check that for visible since it's going to be outside the layout. And then let's just go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Do this, drag that out, and tidy that up. So now our goal is to take this and match the door frame. And this is why we have it outside the visible layout. The door is actually over top and underneath the door. So if we had it below, we would still have to keep it hidden. But because we don't want to do that, we've already seen how to hide and unhide things. We're going to show how to move things now. So we're going to get this location, 1884 by 776. Move this back, doesn't matter where, as long as no part of it is within the viewport. And this is going to happen when we are overlapping the key. So the door gets destroyed. We've already set the initial state to visible, so that doesn't matter. And now the door is going to set the position. And we can paste that location in. But we only need the first number. So we'll take that one. And for the Y, we only need the second number. Got that one. So let's test that one out to see if that worked. Yep, the door opened. Apparently I left the door handle there on the animation, and that'll be okay. Sometimes a little bug gives people something to laugh about. And we can test the saws, but it's not really necessary, I don't believe. Yep, we died. So simple enough. Alright, so now that we've gotten that far, let's go ahead and add the last of our touch controls, which will be moving left and moving right with touch controls. And I bet at least a few of you by now, if you're still following, has been wondering where that control has been. We're going to say insert new sprite. Just click anywhere, and we're going to drag it, and we're going to resize it improperly. The only reason you'd want to resize this properly is if you wanted to destroy this box for any reason and then respawn it later. If you go that method, it would spawn in at the original size. So I'm just going to use this little point right here as a guide. This entire center section is going to be a dividing line. And we have our right half selected, our right half covered. So we're going to make a new sprite and do the same thing on the left side. And I do like to let it go over a bit because sometimes it makes it easier for selection. Just depends on your layers and how you got everything set up. So now that we have those in there, oh, let's go back and make sure to name those so we don't get confused. So left half and right half. Now here's going to be the interesting part of these. I'm just going to make a new group. Feel free to put it in the regular touch controls. But I want you guys to be able to see this cleanly because it can get tricky. So we're going to add the group and left, right, touch controls. We're going to add a new event and say on touch is touching, just like we did with the buttons across the bottom. And we're going to say left half. And we can tell the player to simulate control of left. And we can do the same thing again, only this time we're going to do it on the platform controls. And I will also set the player animation to walk left. So now that we have that, I'm going to copy and paste. We're going to change this one to right half. And make sure we equally change this to the right. Change this to the right. And change this to the right. So now that we have an is touching, we need an is not touching. And do not be fooled, even though you can invert this. I have tried code about 15 different ways and adding even extra lines of code to try to make it work. And the only way I found to make it work without variables is this way. So we are going to say touch and on touched object. No. It's on touch object. Yes, it's on touch object. So we are going to say left half and we're going to put it at the end. So this is basically on pressed released. So like when we were coding for when D is released, it's going to set the animation frame to where it's going to make the player look like he's looking to the right. This is that same basic setup. This is on press released. And so on press released for the left half, we want the player to set animation to standing. And because we don't need to play from the beginning, because the beginning has him looking to the right, we are going to tell the system to wait 0.02 seconds, much faster this time. And that's just to give it time for it to load this animation. And then we can set the frame to 1. So I'm going to copy this one and paste this one. Now we're going to say on right half, make sure it still says end. We're going to play standing. And we do not need to wait, and we do not need to set frame, because it will set the frame automatically from the beginning, which is 0. So fingers crossed that is working. Alright, everything seems to be working except for my walk right. So is touching right. I didn't change this one because I'm silly. And we can delete that. So now anytime I'm touching right, he's walking right and stopping, walking left and stopping. And it is just that simple. Do not try to write extra lines of code to fix broken animation switches. I've tried so many different ways. Alright, and I do believe we have all the mechanics coded that into our game that we have graphics for at this point in time. So we are down to making something new. And let's do a countdown timer. Uh, just a heads up, I do have a cheat sheet on the side because it will take a long string of code that I was not able to remember, and I guarantee you in a short time I was not able to master. So let's do insert new object, and we're going to do text, and it doesn't really matter where we place it, but the main thing is the origin point. If it set the origin point to the top left automatically, that is perfect. If it set it in the center, just play with it until you get it looking where you want. So this text is going to be time remaining, and it's the name of it, and that will also be the text. And this time we'll use Times New Roman with font 40, make it bold, and we're going to center in the alignment for horizontal. Make sure we can see it. Oh, and you just take that back. So if you want to center this, easy way to center it instead of trying to guess or maybe set up a grid or whatever, we're going to set this vertically right where we want it. So roughly there's fine. And we're going to change the position to 0.0 or 0, 0. Then we will change the x value of the size to the width of our the size of our viewport, and it is centered. So we're just going to do that and rinse and repeat. And let's just give ourselves enough room to see all the stuff. So this one's going to be seconds left. Now there's going to be two ways to do this, and we'll start with the way that I'm not going. There it is. Text is 120 Times New Roman. And if you don't want to type it in, hit the three dots, find your font here, and go with it. So we'll also do 40, but we're not going to do bold or bold. And we will center it just like before, only we don't want it all the way in the corner. We just want it all the way left. So we're going to put it on 0, put the X value at 1920 on the sides, and it's centered. Now if you can play with these settings down below somewhere right here to do the alignment, or just literally drag it to where you feel is good, and then just give it some room at the bottom. And actually for this instance, I want to prove that the code is working. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that 120. We're just going to have a blank text box. But you should leave something there so you can see something clickable and you know it's there to click. So into the coding for the events, we're going to make a new group and call it countdown. Oh. And let's go ahead and start by right-clicking up here for add another variable, or you can right-click down here and add a global variable. So we're going to say countdown. This one's going to be a number this time, and initial value 120. So we've got the initial value set, but just in case, say we die and have to retry, we don't want it to remember whatever number this is currently at later in the game because it's going to be changing. So we want to make absolutely sure, on start of layout, we're adding this action down here, and we are going to tell the system to set the boolean, or sorry, I'm so used to working with booleans, to set the value of countdown to 120, or whatever amount of time in seconds that you wish to use. So now we can go down to our countdown folder or group and say on or with system for every X amount of seconds, which will be 1 second. Oh, and don't forget, we do need to add a secondary condition. And that one is going to be for the system to compare two values. And we're just going to delete that 0. And for the first value, we want to start typing countdown or whatever name you decided to do your timer. For the variable, make sure it's the one with the world. And if it's greater than 0, and we can cancel that here in just a second just to show you. But now that we have our condition set, the action is going to have the system subtract from countdown by the value of 1. So for every second, our 120 is going to count down from 1 point at a time. But now we need to set it to show us that. So also we need to add a brand new event and say every tick. Every tick. We are going to tell the system to, oh, not the system. That's where I'm getting lost. Set the seconds left. Make sure this is the one where you set the actual time for the timer. And you are going to set the text right there. And let's get rid of those quotes. This is going to be very simple. So with the 120, if you're counting down from 120 seconds and you're not worried about showing minutes and seconds, 120 is all you need. Oh, and actually, that was something I was just blabbing. Don't mind me. This is where we got to write a little bit of code. And the same thing as we've done before. We're just going to hit start typing countdown. Make sure it's that global variable symbol and hit enter. So every tick, we're going to set the text box to show the number of the countdown. And just like that, you have a countdown timer going, and it will count down. But let me show you this. If we do not set this, if we disable that, subtract from 1. Oh, and we're going to set the countdown to 3. If you do not have that set, once you get to 0, it will continue to count, and it will just keep going down. So when we re-enable this, our 0 stays at 0. There's nothing else going on. So let's go back up here and set this to 120. And so now the next trick. If you want to set the countdown text to a time clock, like you would see on a microwave, for 2 minutes it would be 0200. If you want to see it in that format, I can show you. if you just want to see 2:00, like losing the first zero, we can do that as well. And this is where I bring in my cheat sheet. So it took a little bit of research and a few tries to get the right question into Google to get this information. But if you want, feel free to look it up or just copy it from down below in my description. So we're going minutes and seconds, and I'll show an example of each of these. We're just going to copy this right here and paste it right there. And I can tell you as much as I know about this, which is not everything. So I'm going to say 0, or the zeropad is basically the numbers. It's asking for the numbers. And for the floor, I do believe that would be integer. I'm honestly just kind of guessing on that. And I say integer because it's only showing the whole number. If there's a decimal, it moves the decimal into the second set of numbers after the colon. And obviously countdown would be the name of our global variable. If you named it timer, this is where you would change this and write timer. And then keep divided by 60 because that's how many minutes are in the hour. And we're going to set this to 2 to begin with. So this number right here shows us how many numbers it's going to show. So it's going to show 2 numbers, and if there's only one number to show, the other number will be a 0. And then basically, so we divide by to get our whole number, and then when we use the percentage, it's on the remainder of that division. So that will give us our other number there. That's as far as I've gotten on that. I cannot explain it any better. I'm just saving this cheat sheet for future references for myself as well. So with that being said, let's take a look at it. And now we have the 0 counting down 156. And let's say you didn't want that 0. We could put this 2 back to the 1 that was originally there. And now you have just the 2-minute timer. So let us take a look back at this. I don't actually really want to go into the hassle of showing days, hours, and minutes, so we'll just show this one. We're going to copy that. And for hours, there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, so keep that in mind. Alright, set text, paste, and we'll leave everything at 2, except for the first one. I'll take that down to 1 because I don't like that extra 0. And then here, we'll change our countdown, or keep our countdown as that. We're going to set our countdown at start to 126,000. Or well, 3,600 would be 60, 72, 7,200. So we're going to say for 2 hours. I was just about to pick a random number, but let's go for 2 hours. And boom, we have our 2-hour countdown timer. This gets to be very confusing. Just copy and paste that information I'm going to put down in the description and call it a day. I need to go ahead and get this back because we are going to use this. And I do want the 1. So now that we have that, let us take a look back. Everything's going. And let's add a few extra things. We're only a half hour in, so let's add one more thing and then call it a day. This one should be fairly quick too. And we're going to add coins. And no, I've not made coins up in advance. So we're going to insert a new image. Well, let's click there. And we're going to take our circle. We can have a black background, it'll be fine. Or a black border, I mean. We'll set the size, resize it this way for 50 by 50. And just try to be as center as possible. And hold shift. And then we crop it just to make sure all the edges get pushed in. So let's take the brush because we need something to tell us what it is. Let's just draw us a little $sign here. Such beautiful artwork. Don't judge. Alright, now coins are very, very easy. Just like the jump buttons, you can control and drag. Let's put it to where you can actually catch them. Put one there. Put one here. Put one there. Anyway, you get the idea. And let's just drag this guy here. So now that we have some coins in the game, let's go ahead and go in here, add another variable. This one is going to be coins. And the original value can be 0 unless you want to start them with coins. So let's make another group. Call it, or actually we don't need to make another group. Let's put this in is overlapping. So when the player is overlapping that sprite, we're going to tell the system to add to the variables of coin value of 1, and boom, that is all it takes. And then we do need to add a few more code. And actually, since we didn't destroy it on contact, for every moment that we were over top of it, like for every second there's like 10 moments, it would be adding that coin. So we also need to make sure that the sprite is set to destroy. Make sure that happens first. And that part should be okay. So let's get back into our game. And we need a way of seeing our coins. Let's insert new object. Do a text. And put coins. And coins. I think we'll use impact on this one. Oh, I don't know why I'm doing it that way. I could just go 0, 0. And then we'll resize it as needed. So we'll just take this up. And let's say 30. Don't need to worry about bold. And let's shrink this in. And give it a colon. Now what you could do is you could write the code so you don't have to make a new image. So you could officially just leave this blank. but you also do want to leave it here visible so you can see it for clicking later. So let's do the version where you leave coins in here and you want to add the coins after it. So when the system, no, not when the system, add coins to one, and we'll just add it to this overlapping sprite. So we are going to tell the text, and I didn't name it, so it should just say text. Or no, I did name it coin. So then we will set the text to say coins, colon, space. It's not necessary to have the space unless you do this and the number gets too close to the coins. It might jumble it up a little bit. So just hit the space, give it some room, because everything in the quotes will be put on there. And then you're going to do and start typing coins, since coins is our global variable. So this is basically saying in that text box, we're going to write the text coins, colon, space. And then it's also going to take the variable and put that, or and put the variable next to that. So we have our coins up there. Let's mute this. And it did not set it, so we've set something wrong. Or maybe we didn't fully set it. I think I rushed the gun on something. The coins, set text to coins. We'll do a capital since it's showing. And coins. So now it is officially set. And we've got 1, we've got 2, and 3. And you basically get the idea. There we go. So all good right there. And let's just test since we added the saws. Nope, we did not destroy the saws when we destroy the barriers. So let's go ahead and fix that. So when is overlapping no more barriers, we're going to go down here, find the saw, and destroy. We just added an action into this one. We didn't have to create a new code, because if you write new code, say if we didn't put this here, and we just said player is overlapping, no more barrier, we're going to do that. The code may run for a short time, the code may break the game right away, but there's almost a guaranteed chance that you're going to break the game. And just take a quick look. We've officially done everything else that we can do for tonight. We're only at 40 minutes, give or take, so we're going to call it a very short session. Y'all have a good one, and I'm hoping everyone's learning a little bit of something.